What's up, guys? This is Doug with Built by Fear podcast. In this episode, you guys will hear from Ben Collins, good friend of mine from Grindhouse Fitness, personal trainer, strength and conditioning guy, also national level lifter, came in 8th place in nationals for Olympic weightlifting and 89 kilogram weight class. So I'm excited about this one. If you guys are in the Houston area and y'all need a really good personal trainer, check out Ben Collins or check out the gym of Grindhouse Fitness. Great place, but enjoy the episode.
Are we recording?
Is it?
This is it.
This is it. No, I'm messing. That was a joke. That was totally a joke.
All right, we're back with the episode of Built by Fear podcast. I got a good friend of mine, Mr. Ben Collins, on the show. You know, I'm excited because this is one of the first people from Grindhouse I get to have. I wore my Grindhouse show just to give a big shirt. I wore my Grindhouse. I can't talk. I wore my Grindhouse shirt.
There it is.
To give a big shout out to the Grindhouse crew. Going to have Dusty on here one day, but Ben is one of the first people I got on here.
Yeah.
Right?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, bro.
I appreciate it.
So you coach at Grindhouse. How's that going?
It's good. It's good. It's actually my third CrossFit kind of coaching job. It's one. It's really hot in Texas, so it's a little different to coach here when I'm just like sweating the entire time. But you know, it's been good. It's been good. There's been, I've made a lot of good new friends, good new people. Very welcoming environment. So
Absolutely.
nice.
Like legit, big shout out to Grindhouse because it's opened so many different doors for me. And I think it's going to do the same for you, which is great, But Ben, you're originally from Alabama.
Correct.
Went to school at Auburn and in East Tennessee.
Tennessee Tech.
What is it called?
Tennessee Tech
University for your master's, right?
Yep.
And then you just wound up in good old Houston, Texas.
Yeah, I'm in Texas.
So also national level athlete. So you just got all these things like just layered up on you coming down the road. So let's dig in. I'm trying to figure out like where do we even start? Okay, so let's start with this. We'll just kind of work from the wee years, right? So
Back when I was an infant.
Exactly. You were born 1994?
Six.
Freaking hey. 96. That's not that bad.
I know I might look like I'm 35, but come on.
No, you're good. It's the beard. It's the beard and the hat.
Get some age.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me, bro. How was growing up in Alabama? You was Alabama the whole time, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much, since I was born, I lived in the same house in Birmingham all the way up until I moved to Auburn for college. It was good. I played all the sports. I did all the sports. All my friends were pretty much in soccer. Soccer was like my main sport.
Right.
Growing up, I played all of them. Baseball, I wrestled, I played basketball a little bit, ran track and field, all the stuff.
Whole nine.
Yeah, sports was like our thing in our family. If we didn't play sports, we didn't know what we were doing. But it was good kind of growing up in high school, learning the things that I needed to kind of figure out in life, and then moving to Auburn, finally, got to the college stuff. College was interesting for me. College, I started just regular freshman in college, doing your, regular college things, pretty much just studying in classes and not sleeping the entire time.
Right.
Copious amounts of caffeine.
Yep.
And then shortly thereafter, sophomore year is when I got involved with the Auburn women's soccer team as a kind of a practice player.
Right.
I was on the Auburn men's club team. We didn't have a collegiate team just because it was in the SEC.
Right.
And then that kind of got me into the strength conditioning, which is kind of where everything started for me.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness was always kind of a thing for me. I really enjoyed it when I was in high school. Shout out to Coach Grammer for that one. And then, from that's been my life ever since. Fitness and health,
So it's weird because like you have this lifelong thing of sports where you have this, I use the word passion.
Yeah.
You're just passionate about sports and athletics. And then you have these like avenues to let that passion out. You use strength and conditioning as that. You use soccer as that. Weightlifting as that.
Yep.
So you mentioned y'all do sports. You guys did sports as a family growing up. How many siblings?
Three siblings, 2 older brothers and 1 older sister.
So you're the youngest.
Yep, I'm the baby.
Are you the most athletic? They gonna see this. I'm gonna send it to them.
I would say at this point, yes, maybe not then. Just because like we were all pretty athletic.
Right.
We all did a lot of sports. My oldest brother, he played baseball. I'm the only one that really like continued into college. Andrew, he did CrossFit for a little while. He's my one that's right above me, 3 years older than me. He did CrossFit for a little while, and then I'm the only one that's like really continued into fitness. But
So
they've all
four boys?
no. So two older brothers, Andrew and Joe, and then a sister in the middle of those two.
Got it. Sister, does she do sports or not?
She did sports. Yeah, she played softball. She didn't go as long as we did, but she's athletic. Don't get me wrong. She will still. She'll put up a fight in anything competitive.
Shoot, she's the only girl.
Yeah, she had to.
She can scrap. She can scrap.
Yeah.
So where did this all come from? Is it just like your parents did that too? Or not so much, or just the kids just kind of...
It was, I mean, we were raised to, always be outside. That was,
right.
And I thank my parents for that every day, just because, like, we hardly did anything inside. Yeah, we played video games every now and then, but my parents, we were outside from dusk till dawn because our parents pretty much made us. And no offense to anyone in my family, but I wasn't a big reader at all in high school or in middle school. And I know my brother and sister, they read a lot, but I just never did. I just always liked being outside with a ball or something.
Yeah.
And playing with them was the other thing. I mean, I have bumps and bruises from basketballs getting hit in the face, baseballs getting hit in the arms, all that kind of stuff. Playing literally pickle in the front yard, or we played this game called Power Line where we'd throw a football over a power line and see if we could catch it. And just like weird games.
A different generation. We were native.
Yeah, we had to be.
Exactly. Go outside, do some crazy stuff. See, the thing is, I remember trying to just blow stuff up. Like, just
like fireworks? Oh, okay.
It's fireworks. So I'm from Detroit. Fireworks are illegal in Detroit.
Yeah, same in Alabama.
But people will go to Ohio, get fireworks, and sell it. Like, why is this grown man selling fireworks to kids?
Children?
Like, legitimate, like, quarter sticks of dynamite?
Hey.
And we're just like, hey, let's see what we can do with it.
You ever have Roman candle wars?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, all the time.
That's the most random thing for kids. But, hey, that's childhood, man.
Yep.
Okay, so that's young. And then when did you get competitive? When did that happen?
I'd say probably like early high school, because early high school is when like our club season for soccer really kicked off for our team. Our team in soccer, I'm not gonna defame us because we're pretty good. Like we
high school team?
No, our club team in high school. Like our high school team was good. We won a few state championships. But our club team was really good comparatively to what happened in Alabama in general. We were one of the first teams in Alabama to actually make it to the National League, which is competitive top 50 teams in the country, which is rare. Like you hardly saw an Alabama team that really was doing that. We got to play like the ESPN Wild World of Sports and Disney.
Oh, this is serious.
Yeah, so
back in the day.
Yeah, we were good.
Let's go.
But we played in top 3 teams in the country. A few of our guys, we kind of ended late with guys that made it to D1 teams and stuff like that. But it was good. Like that's when it all started for us. Then soccer was kind of, the avenue to the fitness and health for everything.
Exactly. So let's talk soccer a little bit more. I didn't know that. So I know in America, soccer is not the most popular sport.
Yeah.
Same thing with weightlifting.
Sure.
It's not
the
most
absolutely.
Sport.
Absolutely.
What states are known for soccer? I know like wrestling is up north.
Oh yeah.
Basketball, some other states. Football's Texas.
Oh yeah. It's the states you would expect. California, Texas, Florida, the Carolinas are really good at soccer. Ohio, it's another one. Georgia.
Like colleges. Are there big
college? There's like some main teams, like obviously you have your Florida teams, like UNC. All the teams in North Carolina are all pretty good. Those were like my dream schools to go to when I was in high school to go to. Texas but they're all like random teams, like Akron, Ohio.
They're good.
That's a team that's just like, they're like always top 5 in the country, or like, just random teams that you wouldn't think of.
Right.
They just kind of pop up in like the college championships.
That's how college basketball is. Why world of college football? Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I go to college basketball, I'm like, Davidson? I have to already go to Davidson. Like, okay. It's kind of random, but, so are you a Messi fan?
Absolutely.
Okay, top 5 soccer players.
Top 5. Wait, top 5 for me or a top 5 just like
in general? Oh, top 5 for you, and then would you? Yeah, I don't know what to compare it to.
All right,
I don't know.
So I'd say Messi.
Okay.
Ronaldo would be a second player for me.
Okay.
I'm
So
Ronaldo. Yeah.
Messi's one.
Messi's number one.
Okay.
Ronaldo's two. Sorry for all you Ronaldo people. Someone that I've kind of always looked up to was Iniesta. He's actually a player that's coming to Inter Miami, which is kind of cool. Kylian Mbappe.
Okay.
He's another one. And then another kind of player that I've always looked up to was also Clint Dempsey. He's a U.S. player. He kind of he retired 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. But he never was like a prominent player in English Premier League or anything like that. But he was a player that kind of led me on my journey.
Got it.
To continue playing soccer, kind of thing.
So teach me about soccer, bro, because I have no idea. I'm so confused about the Saudi Arabia thing.
Oh yeah, that's a different.
That's a whole thing of that because Ronaldo's there, right?
Yeah,
which is crazy. And then Messi's in Miami. I didn't know Miami even had a team.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. Like,
isn't it wild?
MLS. So David Beckham owns that team. Okay, the Miami team.
Didn't know that either.
Yeah, so like I honestly didn't know that until Messi started playing there, or kind of they started talking about it.
Right.
That he actually owns that Inter Miami team. But MLS is becoming pretty big, which is wild for the United States.
For sure.
That's something that not a lot of people have realized, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I think soccer in the next 5-10 years will be a predominant sport in the United States, which is kind of cool.
We kind of need that.
Yeah.
Hey. I mean, I don't know about y'all. I love football. I love basketball. But after a while, I'm just like, I need a right sport.
We need something new.
I need another sport.
We like to check
something might
up,
be it.
Right.
Exactly. So who is it? Is Miami your team? Do you have other teams for
MLS? I mean, I don't really have a team, but Arsenal's always been a team for me. Arsenal and Barcelona. Those were like my 2 European teams that I always followed from like a kid. I actually ended up watching the first Premier League game this morning, which was kind of cool.
Have you been to a live soccer game? Like
No, that's always been like a dream of mine, is to go to Europe and like watch one of those games, because apparently the atmosphere is just like crazier than the Super Bowl. It's every game, which is wild.
I believe you.
So that's kind of something that I've always wanted to do. So hopefully, in the next like 2 or 3 years.
You can't call it soccer though. We got to call it football.
Yeah, football.
Yeah, as soon as you cross over, you got to call it football for sure.
People start looking at you funny.
Okay, so soccer is your main thing as far as like your first love of sports, for sure. And then you got into strength and conditioning. Tell me about that. Tell me about when you got into strength and conditioning. You mentioned a coach.
Yeah, so excuse me. My sophomore year, so Coach Grammer, he was actually my high school soccer coach.
Okay.
He was actually a wide receiver coach for football that just kind of happened to get stuck as a soccer coach. But he's kind of a guy that he led us to our 3 or 4 state championships, which was kind of cool. And then, he kind of taught us a lot about just like life in general.
Right.
And then he's the first person that really got me in a weight room, which was really cool. That's when I started like falling in love with like lifting things, bicep curls all the time.
Exactly.
Right? And then, shortly thereafter, that's when I went into college. And then, like I said, sophomore year is when soccer really kind of picked up, or I guess strength conditioning really picked up for me.
Of high school or college?
No, college. Yeah, at Auburn. Yeah. Coach Megan Young, she actually was the strength conditioning coach for the soccer team at Auburn when I was a practice player there.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her like one day, hey, would it be cool if I just kind of came in and watched the lift and like look at what goes on around here? Because that's like, that'd be kind of cool. Something that kind of plays a role in both of my worlds, like athletics as well as, lifting weights.
For sure.
And so I went in there and I was like, dude, this can be something that I could do for the rest of my life. For sure. Like day one, I walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
It's making people better.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
And that was like a thing for me ever since I never played like Division I college soccer, which I wanted to. I just never, like my recruiting stages kind of got late on me, and they're in like senior year, which normally if you're getting recruited, you want like sophomore, maybe junior year of high school. So I went to Auburn just because it was like the easy thing to do financially also. But ever since then, I was like, I want to help other athletes get to where they want to get.
Okay.
So that was like the drive and the passion that kind of comes from that was making other people do what I wasn't able to do.
Okay.
At the time. So that was kind of cool for me. And then, ever since that sophomore year, I interned my whole undergrad. And then as soon as I finished my undergrad, after way too many hours of college schooling, I actually ended up, doing strength conditioning. That was what I wanted to do.
Now, strength conditioning is one of those big industries. where depending on what sport you're in, you can get a complete different experience.
Oh yeah,
Football, soccer, volleyball,
sure.
baseball. I've heard some crazy stories from football side of
probably seen it on the news too.
Oh my goodness. So what would you say? What are the real, pros and cons of strength and conditioning in general? What do you think?
So after now that I've pretty much covered all of the basics of like personal training, CrossFit coaching, strength conditioning, all that kind of stuff, I would say the kind of pros and cons of strength conditioning. A pro definitely is that you're going to get a lot more out of a coach in strength conditioning than you do as like a personal trainer.
Okay.
Because they have a job security to them, so they can do what they need to in order to make athletes better,
right.
Regardless of if that athlete is bought in or wants to do it. They know what's best. They know they've been doing it for long enough to where they know what they need to do and make that athlete better.
Got it.
And that's across the board for all sports.
Okay.
But with specific sports, football is obviously one that's going to be a little bit more demanding
right.
for a strength coach for sure, just because, you got 200 guys on a football team. I guess I don't really know exactly how many are on a football team, but
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys. You got so many groups, so many guys you're trying to control at the same time, trying to make sure they get all what they need and make them the best athletes that they can. And those are the guys that you get to see in the NFL.
Right.
And it's kind of crazy when you see that kind of stuff, but definitely a con. The biggest con that I've seen in strength conditioning for sure is, the financial portion of it.
Right.
Which is why I moved away from strength conditioning in general. Which is sad to say, but it's so true that, assistant strength conditioning coaches, unless you're, in a Power 5 Division I school as a head football coach or an assistant football strength conditioning coach or a basketball or something like that, depending on the school, you're not getting paid hardly enough to, make ends meet, unfortunately. Like, that's just how it is. Especially with the demands of the job, being up at, 4 a.m., coaching a 5 a.m. Session, then staying there till 6 or 7 at night, if not more than that. You just don't really kind of get the financial pay that you should.
For sure. I agree. And then Indy's told me about this because she actually wanted to do strength conditioning for a long time. Funny story. She was going to go up to Maine for a job.
Man,
went up there, interviewed and everything at a small like D2 or D3 school, and it's just like it's weird how the strength and conditioning thing, depending on how big the school is, it's a unique experience.
Oh yeah.
Now something I think is a interesting connection between personal training and then like group strength and conditioning is like, what is your take on generalized programs and specific personalized programs?
Yeah.
Because that's probably the hardest thing when you got like a football team. You're going to have receivers, you're going to have football player or linemen, linebackers. How do you program for those guys and also consider like, okay, this 300-pound lineman who tore his ACL when he was the junior in high school, but then you got another 300-pound lineman who has no ACL. How do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like what the specifics of, positions, essentially, that's also a thing. I really learned a lot about it when I was at Tennessee Tech during my grad program, especially with football, how like everything is generally specific. I know that's very odd to say, but each group kind of has their own plans set forth for them by the head strength coach. Each position, you have your generalized movements, your power.
Right.
I'd say we take it through pretty much 5 different exercises. So your power movement, whatever that may be, hang clean, power clean, that kind of stuff, jumps, plyometrics. And then you have like an upper body push, upper body pull, lower body push, lower body pull, and a carry. That's what it kind of boils down to for everybody. But, depending on your position, what you might need might be different than what someone else might need, right? Because a lineman, obviously, you want them to be strong, but they're not going to be the fastest moving guys, right? So, they're going to be squatting a lot more than, a wide receiver or cornerback, just because the cornerback, they just need to be fast. They need to be explosive.
Correct.
They need to be agile. So they're focusing more on different parts of those 5 movements that I was talking about, but they're still kind of getting the same idea.
For sure.
Right? So that's I'd say that's definitely the differences. And then obviously the thing with strength conditioning in college, you have your PTs, right?
That's what I was about
So
to say.
that's the good part about it, is that if they need specialized treatment for themselves, for any type of nagging injuries that happened previously, they can go to those guys or ladies if they need to get their, ACLs fixed, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So we don't necessarily have to worry about that stuff too much, but we do play a role, like we talked to them, make sure that if there's things that they don't need to do, we can always get that fixed.
Okay. Yeah. So if you could say, like, what's the difference between I just want to move better, right? Or I want to be more explosive? Or do you think from an idea of I want to have more of a injury prevention for athletes? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So so I think that's also something I've kind of come down to as I continued my personal training route. I've started to do a lot of just corrective exercise stuff. Different movements for corrective exercise for athletes. It's a lot of what people come in for now, is that they just want to feel better,
For sure.
in their sport, whatever it is. Obviously, I'm going to place different movements in there that are going to make them stronger in their modalities, for sport. But, corrective exercise is a huge thing for sports just in general, just because you're always having to play around probably some type of injury.
Yes.
But, the strength and the plyometrics and the power stuff, that all plays a role too. Like, that's going to help with the injury prevention. So it all kind of boils down to the same thing eventually.
For sure. I'm glad you said that. So it makes me think of this. Football was a unique sport because it's ultra variable. Like, you're falling, you're getting hit, you're going to fall in all kinds of weird ways.
Yep.
So you got to be prepared for everything. That's why football players have to lift so much to prepare for the really awkward fall.
Yep.
But then what you just said, like injury prevention or corrective movements, if you get someone who's ultra specified, like a tennis player.
Yep.
Baseball players are like that. Pitchers are like that because they have that torque.
100%.
And then their hips are going to get kind of funky. Shoulders will. Cyclists, because they're squeezing the thighs constantly. So you have to almost train them in the way they wouldn't move.
Yep. Yeah, you have to pretty much do like the opposite of what they do.
Correct.
A lot of times for baseball players, that's something I learned a lot from our guy at Auburn, CJ. He actually taught me the difference with, MLB guys and college guys. There shouldn't be that much of a difference, because really, like, the athlete is a unique person. You should start doing the same stuff you do with MLB guys in college, just because you're not necessarily trying to make them super studs of lifting weights.
Right.
You're trying to make sure they don't get hurt.
Correct.
Because the guys that are throwing 95 in college, those are the guys that are going to be throwing 95 to 100 in the MLB. And you're just trying to make them get to the MLB at that point.
Exactly. Did you see the QB on Netflix?
I haven't yet.
Okay. I won't spoil
The one with Pat
Mahomes.
Yes.
And I'm like, I just want to clip that.
Really?
That's exactly it.
Really?
I guess I am spoiling it. I guess Patrick Mahomes has had the same strength and conditioning guy or trainer since he was like in middle school. High schooler. He moved him out to like Kansas.
Yeah.
I guess that's where he's at. Yeah, Kansas City.
Kansas City.
To do his trainer. But everything is about being able to move.
Yep.
Right. I thought it was interesting because his coach made a statement about how some quarterbacks will start to run, and if they can't turn their head, they can't make the throw. So they're practicing being able to have full rotation of the body so he can make these crazy throws.
Oh yeah.
So it is like, hey, can I be a Swiss Army knife?
Correct.
Right.
And that's what Pat Mahomes is.
Exactly. Bro is cold for sure. Okay. So we kind of got into your passion as far as what you'd like to do for other athletes and all. Now, what I want to talk about, we're weightlifters.
Yeah.
We like to pick up some weight, My brother Ben came off of Nationals, 5th or 4th place finish. What'd you get?
This year was 8th. I got three positions higher than I did last year.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Okay. So you finished 8th.
Yeah.
And then Vegas last year.
Yep, that was when I finished 11th.
Got it. And then you didn't do AO in Atlanta.
I didn't do anything between Nationals this year and Nationals last year. I did like a local meet. That was about it.
You did your thing. One thing I'm most proud of you is, one, being able to compete with composure. I saw that. And then you did a good job, you and your coach, too, getting prepped for this competition through a back injury.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's something I don't necessarily talk about too much. I know that's the one thing that frustrates me a lot with, like, social media and stuff is that we all kind of post our issues and stuff that came from, our meets and whatnot as weightlifters. But like, comes down to the hard work, and not everyone needs to really know, in my opinion, everyone needs to know about the injuries and stuff that happens. But like, I think at some point you can talk about it. And I think, the back stuff that happened, I ended up having a deteriorated L5S1 disc and then a herniated disc. And they think it kind of came from a high school injury when I was wrestling. And then it just kind of super flared up now. And it's caused a lot of setback in my weightlifting since like January, I think. And it's, it's like a hit or miss each day for me. I wake up in the morning, either I'm physically rolling out of bed, trying to crawl to the bathroom and stand up on the tub, or, I'm feeling good and I can move around and lift some weight. But it really depends on the day. And that's something, I've had to fight through. I haven't been able to like back squat what I should, or some days I can't really even lift at all. And in weightlifting, as you know, consistency is key.
Yeah.
That's the biggest portion of it. And having to fight consistency is so hard with an injury that, can set you back like that. And that's something I fought. But, I think my mentality in weightlifting is that it's fun.
For sure.
Some people, I think, honestly take it too seriously, especially in the United States. I mean, we don't really get paid for it
At all.
unfortunately, that'd be crazy, right?
Well, look at them. If y'all want to pay us, USA, if y'all see this, just want to pay all your athletes.
Yeah, let them know. It'd be great. But it's like one of those things that I treat it as a fun thing.
For sure.
And I had this talk with my coach, Brittany, about, I treat this as something that's going to be fun for as long as I can make it fun. I don't want it to feel like a job. I don't ever want it to feel like a job, because then it becomes hard and monotonous, and, eventually I want to quit. This is something I want to make fun for my life. And, that's, I think, what's gotten me really through the injury process. And, the crazy part about, even with all the 6 months of injury, I hit PRs. Yes. Like across the board for my snatch, my clean and jerk, and my total, which was wild to me that even happened. I don't even know how that happened, because I felt twinges in my back when I was, behind the platform warming up and stuff. And I was like, well, we're just going to see what happens when I get onto the platform. That's what I've told everybody. They're like, how you feeling? It's like, well, I don't know. It's just going to depend on the day. As soon as I get on the platform, if it hurts, I'm not going to do it. If it doesn't hurt, who knows?
Right.
So,
and then just to encourage you too, like, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of people who train at any sport at elite level, you have some sort of injury.
oh, for sure.
For sure. I haven't gotten any MRI.
Yes. Knock on some wood.
But I'm pretty sure something's wrong with my
oh, for sure. Right.
pretty sure something's wrong with this hip. Something's wrong with this neck. Right. But I'm just joking. But you kind of have to like listen to your body and be more in tune. So going back to like athletes and maybe coach perspective towards the athlete, what I try and do is encourage athletes to be aware of their process, right? So if you are a strength coach or a personal trainer and you have somebody who's wanting to get into athletics, one, I think it's good to have a sport that keeps you consistent. But then two, try and encourage that athlete to have a mental coach of their own.
Yeah.
Okay, my body feels this way. I need to do this. And then start to try to accumulate a routine around that.
Yeah.
Because injuries happen, Yeah. It's definitely part of the sport. So what was your favorite thing about nationals? Did you're surprised about your numbers? What did you end up hitting?
So
In the 89s?
Yeah, 89
kilo.
Hit what 137,
Right.
which it wasn't a PR in my snatch. Wait a second. No, I hit 138, which was a PR in my snatch.
Okay.
It was a kilo PR in my snatch. And then, this is one of those things that I don't even know.
You popped off from clean and jerk.
And then clean and jerk, I didn't hit a PR on my clean and jerk, but it was a 6 kilo competition PR, which was like wild, that I was surprised I hit it, because I hit 170. My total, or my clean and jerk PR was 171. But based off how the second clean and jerk looked for me, it didn't look like I was going to hit a 170 at all. But core caved in and just looked like crap on my second one. But, the third one, I came out there and I was like, all right, well, you just got to send it. It wasn't a pull and pray. It was like I'm going to pull this thing and I'm going to squeeze the crap out of my core and make sure and that was what it was. Like, honestly, I can, if I had a video on me right now, I'd show you like the difference between my second lift and my third lift was strictly this.
Yeah.
Everything about it was that. And I know me and you have talked about like how important that is in weightlifting, and like I'm gonna go ahead and tell everyone that it is more important than you'll ever realize, because I think that can contribute to part of the reason my back has been how it is because I have a great looking core or whatever you want to call it, but it's not functional, or wasn't functional, right?
Bro.
Until we had talked about it and like really worked on how that was something that I need to focus on more than anything.
So let's talk about that, because I'm getting excited. Because this is we're good. Cool. It's like, because one, you mentioned the core, and then before, no, we can talk about the core. The core is a weird thing because it's so ingrained with your breath.
Yeah.
So it's really a lot to do with your whatever you're used to doing, right, as a sport. So for instance, if someone's a track star, maybe you ran track in high school, you sprint, you have a lot of hip flexors, dominant as far as like you sprinting. How will your core work when you're doing a max clean?
Yep.
Right?
It's totally different.
It's completely different when it comes down to functionally lifting. Now, what things did you do to try to help connect that dot with functional lifting with it?
You know, it ended up, I don't know what really kind of pinpointed it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because like soccer background, you are not breathing the same as you are when you're weightlifting, right?
Yeah.
One is you're just strictly breathing for aerobic capacity, just trying to survive on the field. Whereas weightlifting, you're using that as a portion of your lifting.
Yep.
Right. That's like the main surface of what weightlifting is based from your core. And when I say core, that doesn't mean abs.
Right.
For all you people out there, that doesn't mean abs, right?
Thank you.
That comes down to your entire thoracic torso.
Yes.
And so like that's a huge thing. And I think it came down to me talking with my PT, Sarah Brown, about
shout out Sarah.
Yeah, for real.
Move
Big
evolution.
help. Movement evolution.
For evolution, yeah.
Yep.
Sarah and Adid.
Yep. They're killing it over there for sure.
For sure.
But she kind of taught me how like I might have a good looking core, but you know, it's not as functional as I think it is, and understanding how to use it when weightlifting, which is what we've talked about a lot, is huge.
Yep.
And she kind of taught me like the certain functional core movements aren't necessarily, you know, V-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. It's carries, Suki's carries, farmer's carries, dead bugs, all those things that kind of put you in a strict thoracic space.
Yep.
I guess what I'd say is that learning how to control your spine.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is learning how to control that spine with the muscles surrounding that spine.
Did she ever talk about, did she ever have you do the McGill curl ups?
Yeah.
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 So just as most doctors do, they name an exercise after themselves.
Sure.
So I think his name is Stephen McGill. Pretty much his little quote is, if you can recruit your core to get more spinal rigidity, you will have more control of your extremities, whether it's your arms or legs. So force production comes from how strong can your core be when you're in motion. So exactly. So you're thinking about clean, but this applies to even a linebacker.
Yeah.
If you're sprinting towards a tackle and your core is not set,
you're gonna get
folded. Exactly.
Not gonna feel
good. It's not gonna feel good. Now that's what I'm saying. Football is one of those sports where you have to have a core, and that's why most football players, they're
dead.
Yes, exactly. They're take.
Yeah.
Because of that. But you get other athletes. I think you see this at the elite level for gymnastics, elite level for soccer too. Like if we really tested soccer players' core at that elite level, I'm pretty sure they're probably thick too, with 360 throughout. You know. Okay, so that's the core. Very passionate about that.
Yep.
And then what I want to talk about is the difference between the second and third attempt clean and jerk. Because you mentioned dialing in and getting the core. Now, something that's so critical for competition is the mindset. How do you approach the lift? What is your thought process? In my opinion, I think 2 cues to just absolutely obsess over for 5 to 10 seconds is all you need.
Yep.
But give yourself something. What is that process for you?
You know, my second attempt, I kind of went into it as I normally would, just kind of, I'm a person that kind of lets my brain go on what happens in the platform. I just kind of let everything dissipate and focus on like 2 things. And one thing I always focus on now is pushing through my whole foot on my lifts, which has always been a big thing that I've worked on with my coach a lot of. And then my core. And a lot of it, especially since I got kind of injured, a lot of it has to do with what we've talked about before, which is the bracing, but the correct type of bracing.
Right.
And that was something I think I focused on my second one, but it just kind of fell apart. If I went back and looked at my second one, I know it was how I was breathing, and I kind of, when I was lifting my initial pull from the ground, I groaned almost. It was like this whole like noise just came out of me. I don't know what it was, and my core, it just went like floppy. It just ended up being like, just like a pool noodle. And then, you know, my third one, I was able to like control that rigidity in my core, and I was sitting straight up in the bottom of a squat. Like 170 was nothing for me, which is 1 kilo off my PR, which is crazy to me that felt way better than the 160 that I hit as my first pull or as my first one. But the mindset that kind of goes with it is, you know, you just got to come out here and make sure you do the fundamentals.
Right.
And that's really what it boils down to, at least for me. The fundamentals are the what's going to get you to where you need to be.
Right.
Yes, there's like the small, you know, cues and stuff that kind of go through everything, but knowing your fundamentals of lifting and putting them all into play as you go through the lift, which happens in less than a second, pretty much, are what's going to get you through that lift uninjured and well.
Correct. Yeah, no, you said that very well. So you got like coaching, training for a competition. You maybe can get into like breaking down what you should do, getting cueing in that. But when it comes out of competition day, your body's going to do what it does at 95+% of your max, first attempt, second attempt, third attempt. Third attempt, you almost have to just simplify it.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So we're going to end it out here. I got one last question.
What's up?
Built by Fear is a show about passion.
Yep.
Right? My passion is the Lord.
Yep.
Right? God has done some crazy stuff in my life. What is your drive and where does your passion come from?
You know, I'd say my passion has come from one, faith, but also like my biggest thing is family and friends.
Nice.
I've always pushed myself to make myself better for the people around me. And if that means, like I said, coaching, making them better, that's been huge for me. But also, you know, knowing my family is always going to be there for me, no matter what the case is, puts a big kind of ease in my life. And it's helped me a lot through what I've done and helped me kind of guide myself through where I am now and kind of moving forward.
Yeah.
Understanding, you know, people like you in my life, understanding how you've talked to me and knowing how you've impacted my life and my friends and my family has kind of really driven me to where I want to be.
Absolutely, bro.
For sure.
Respect that.
Yeah, bro.
Absolutely. For sure. Okay, cool. So this has been Built by Fear podcast. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. This has been Ben Collins, and that's it.